honored to have a panel of key players who are big names in the world of financial literacy. I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves, starting with Ms. Funderburk Rush, please.
Hi, good afternoon, good evening, actually.
Good
evening. I'm Leslie Funderburk Rush, and I'm a native of Washington, D.C. And this play kind of mimicked my actual life in general. My mother was raised here in Washington, D.C., and we actually lived in poverty right here in Southeast Washington, D.C. And, you know, when I was asked to, you know, come on this panel, I was like, oh my God, this is like my life. This is where I lived. I lived in shelters. My mother and father broke up when I was 8 years old, and I lived in shelters here in Washington, D.C. And I remember my mother always saying, you know, never give up. She was a nurse for 52 years, coming out, went to Dunbar High School, coming out, put us in Catholic school, the Immaculate Conception Academy, and I wanted to go into finance, so that, and I've been in finance for over 30 years. Really, I'm gonna give you the number 42. So I started when I was 18. So you do the math. I know I started when I was 10. I was sticking with that number. But I wanted to go into finance so that I can help others and come back to my community and help others. Right now I work for Truist Bank, which is a combination of SunTrust and BB&T. But I also worked on Wall Street for 10 years for Chase Bank. So I have the wealth of knowledge that I want to get back to my community in which I live.
My name is Ron Curtis. I'm a financial literacy coach. I'm a Washington, D.C. native as well. I was born and raised here. I went to VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University. What I like to teach people is how to turn liabilities into cash flow and assets. I'm actually living in Ward 8 in the Congress Heights neighborhood, so this is my passion, coming to speak to communities about financial literacy principles that are often not taught at home, at school, or in the street. So we got some gems for you guys today.
How you doing, everyone? This was a wonderful play. I'm happy I had the opportunity to be here. The actresses, they did a wonderful job. They did. I'm born and raised in D.C., Southeast as well, Washington native. The story about me, I started off just like the program showed it, you know, in poverty. And, you know, single family home, no father figure. I had to kind of grow up really quick at the age of 17 with my first child coming out of high school. And then I too went into Wall Street through an internship, and I just ran with it. And from there, I, you know, spent 8 years working as a registered representative and with my FINRA licenses, and then working for nonprofits, going to school, getting my bachelor's degree, and then becoming very familiar with financial analytics and analysis, and then jumping into the government, working for the OIG, for the United States Postal Service. Then now with DC at the Wilson Building in a senior role, in a financial role. But I started my own company 11 years ago called X&E Financial Advising, LLC, and we assisted over 1,000 people, and we processed more than 250 million in taxable incomes through the Internal Revenue Service and the state regulatory agencies. And last year I published my first book called Budget It Yourself. One on Amazon as a new release, and now it's top 50 as a bestseller in personal money management. So I'm happy to be here today.
I'm going to start the questions off with Leslie. Leslie, what do banks consider a good credit score as opposed to a bad credit score?
So right now, a good credit score in a bank is about 630. And a lot of people ask the questions like, okay, well, I have an 800 credit score, and I can get this, and I can get that. There's a lot of variables with credit score. So 630 is what we look at, but we also look at something called debt-to-income ratio. So you can have, I, again, worked on Wall Street. I had a lot of clients with millions and millions of dollars. Mr. Trump was one of my clients. And he had a whole lot of assets. But that doesn't mean that we're going to give you credit. So credit has a lot to do with your credit score, and even though you have a 630 credit score, you can get a lot of things if you don't have a lot of debt. So it's a balance between the two.
Okay. So when you say the hard hit versus the soft hit, so what keeps a person pay the bills on time, the debt to ratio, and I'm in finance also. I've been doing taxes for over 20 years, so I know about finance and the county made it count. So every time I report, I'm in the high 70s, but I'm like, why I can't be 8? I know my debt ratio, I do own a house, I'm still paying for it. Revolving credit, I do have it, but it's minimum. I owe 0 on it. I just owe my house. Unfortunately, my car was stolen, so I don't have a card payment. And I asked, because I was in the process of thinking about refinancing, I went to more than one person, and I asked, okay, y'all looking at it, why I can't get an 8? Why I can't be a 7.99? I can go to 7.80. Why I can't be an 8? Nobody's checking.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So,
What keeps, I mean.
I have an answer. So, the gist of it is, and I try to look at the FICO score and the models, how they do the models. It's about diversification. Take consumer A, consumer B. Consumer A has 2 credit cards. Consumer B has 2 credit cards, a car note, student loans, personal loans, a mortgage, a variety of debt, right? Who do you think is going to achieve the greatest score with good payment history? Consumer A or B? The one that has the most. That's the reason why scores don't reach max. If you have a little bit activity going on in your credit portfolio, you're never going to get to the max. They're like, why would we reward you with an 800 or 850 credit score when you're not doing as well as the person that has multiple lines of credit or things going on?
Put a pin in that. I've been there, done that. I've been there where divorced mom, 3 kids get paid the credit. This one used to go pay the credit card bill at the bank, and they put it on it right there, and had to go to the grocery store or the gasoline station. So I walked that road, but I have been fortunate that they're grown. I'm soon to retire, so I don't have to do that anymore. I don't have to do that paycheck to paycheck.
Yep.
I can do 1 paycheck, and I'm real good, and the second one is whatever. So now, I compare me to that one with the student loan and everything, been there and walked that road.
I can piggyback on that.
Please do.
So your score is broken down into 5 major parts. So your
Okay.
payment history is 35% of your score. That's making all your payments on time. Your total available credit, which you have to your name, that's 30% of your score, right? The credit diversification is 10% of your score. Your credit age is 15%, and inquiries are 10%. The reason, I know you want an 800, right? But just like person A and person B, you can have an 800 credit score and they can have a 750. You guys are going to walk into the bank and leave with the same interest rate 9 times out of 10. So people say they want this 800 perfect credit score. It's ideal 800 or better. But once you hit that 750, you're pretty much in the sweet spot. The 750 or higher is to protect you. Let's say you open up a new credit card for Amazon and you forget to make a payment. If you miss a payment, your score can drop 50 to 100 points, whether it's $1 or $1,000, right? So if you take that hit right there, it can drop from 800 to 750 and you're still solid.